Imagine a time when humans were at the mercy of nature, hunting wild animals, gathering food, and constantly moving to survive. Then, in an extraordinary moment in history, something changed. Instead of chasing prey, humans learned to tame it. Instead of foraging endlessly, they cultivated the land. This was the dawn of domestication, an event that would shape the future of civilization itself. But how did we transform wild beasts into loyal companions? What made some species perfect for domestication, while others remained untamable? And could we still be in the middle of new domestication processes today? Let's dive into one of the most significant turning points in human history, the domestication of animals. Long before the first cities, before agriculture, before written history, early humans lived in small, nomadic groups, constantly moving to find food. Life was unpredictable, and survival was a daily struggle. But then, around 15,000 years ago, a revolutionary partnership was formed: humans and wolves. These predators, once feared and hunted, began following human camps, scavenging leftovers. Over generations, the boldest and least aggressive wolves came closer, bonding with humans. In return for food, they offered protection, companionship, and hunting assistance. These wolves evolved into what we now call dogs, the first domesticated animal and humanity's oldest ally. But why dogs? Why not lions, hyenas, or eagles? The answer lies in biology and behavior. Domesticated animals share certain traits. They reproduce in captivity, have a social hierarchy humans can manipulate, and adapt to living alongside people. Wolves, unlike solitary predators, already had pack structures, making them ideal candidates for integration into human society. But dogs were just the beginning. As humans settled into permanent communities, they realized something extraordinary. Animals could be controlled, bred selectively, and turned into reliable sources of food, labor, and materials. This realization marked the birth of animal domestication, an innovation that would pave the way for civilization. Around 10,000 years ago, in regions like the Fertile Crescent, China, and the Indus Valley, humans took an even greater leap. They stopped merely hunting wild animals and began selectively breeding them. Goats, sheep, and cattle were among the first livestock species to be domesticated. Why these animals? Again, it came down to adaptability and usefulness. Sheep provided wool and meat, goats could survive on poor vegetation, and cattle could pull plows and provide milk. Domestication was not just about controlling animals. It was about reshaping them. Over generations, wild species changed dramatically. Aurochs, the massive, aggressive ancestors of modern cattle, were gradually bred to be smaller, more docile, and easier to manage. Wild boars, once fierce and unpredictable, transformed into pigs, a vital source of food. Horses, once roaming freely across vast grasslands, became essential for transportation, warfare, and agriculture. But this was not a smooth process. Domesticating an animal took centuries, even millennia, of careful selection. Only those that best suited human needs were allowed to breed, creating genetic changes that made them more useful, more manageable, and, in many cases, dependent on humans for survival. The animals that resisted domestication, such as zebras and antelopes, remained wild to this day. And here's something fascinating. Domestication didn't just change animals, it changed humans too. The ability to control food sources allowed societies to grow, cities to emerge, and civilizations to thrive. It created new social structures, economies, and even diseases, as humans living in close proximity to animals were exposed to new pathogens. Domestication brought power and prosperity, but it also came with consequences. As humans gained control over nature, they also disrupted ecosystems. Wild species were displaced, predators were hunted to near extinction, and selective breeding led to genetic bottlenecks in many domestic animals, making them vulnerable to disease and deformities. For example, modern dairy cows produce far more milk than their wild ancestors, but this has led to physical stress and health problems. Dogs, bred for specific appearances, often suffer from genetic disorders. Bulldogs struggle to breathe, dachshunds develop spinal issues, and pugs face numerous health complications. Even beyond health issues, the ethics of domestication raise difficult questions. Have we gone too far in controlling animal genetics? Should we continue altering species for human benefit? Or should we reconsider the balance between nature and domestication? These questions are more relevant than ever, as genetic engineering and cloning introduce new possibilities for manipulating animal traits in ways our ancestors could never have imagined. While it might seem like the age of domestication ended thousands of years ago, the truth is, it never stopped. In fact, we may be witnessing the rise of new domesticated species. Scientists are experimenting with taming foxes, selectively breeding them for docility, just as our ancestors did with wolves. Insects, such as bees, are being bred for higher productivity and disease resistance. Even fish, once entirely wild, are now farmed and selectively bred for food. But there's one more intriguing possibility. Are humans domesticating themselves? Some scientists argue that as societies became more structured, humans began selecting traits that favored cooperation, docility, and intelligence, much like we did with animals. Could we be shaping our own evolution just as we shaped that of wolves, cattle, and horses? From ancient wolves that became our most loyal companions to cattle that built empires, domestication is one of the most defining aspects of human history. It allowed us to move beyond survival, create civilizations, and ultimately shape the modern world. Yet, the story is far from over. As science advances, we continue to manipulate genetics, redefine species, and push the boundaries of what domestication means. But where does it end? Will we eventually create entirely new species? Could we one day domesticate life itself at the genetic level, tailoring organisms to fit our needs with precision never before imagined? The future of domestication is still being written. If you've made it this far, you're among the few who truly explore the depths of our ancient past. But did you know that 99% of our viewers aren't subscribed? If you love unraveling the mysteries of human history, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's continue this journey together.